We heard you loud and clear.
Your hard work needs to be respected. That's why.
Okay, let's switch over here. We're going to put on a different stream here and get our broadcast started soon. Probably talk about a little bit of ongoing things going on around Valdosta while everybody's kind of hunkered down and waiting the storm out. And we have, let's see here. We've got some cams up right now. We're going to switch that out though. We're going to throw up some radar coverage, and in a little while we'll get into some news and things. I just thought I'd throw up the radar for now, and then we will get into the rest.
Do you know what's really fun? Making a website on Wix.
I'm going to clear the surface analysis. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to change the water vapor back to the Tallahassee radar so we can have that up as we get ready to potentially take an
All right, so just so everybody knows, I'm going to be playing these radars through the evening, and we're going to get to some news every now and then. That's what we're going to do. Some news every now and then, since I cannot speak today. So we'll have the radar up and going and live. We'll just keep that going the whole time, and I'm going to join everybody, and we're going to talk about some things, some random Valdosta news and cases that are going on, and other things that we have. So in between, you can check out the feed, come back here, stay up to date if you need to find out any information about the ongoing storm. So we're going to get back to this feed, and then we'll be back with some news and information to talk about.
intermission here very shortly. This working in the storm's favor now. It's got that opposite effect to the Bay of Campeche, helping to create a bit of a physical influence on its rotation. So we could see this system try to squeak in another couple miles an hour to its overall sustained winds. Hopefully not. That low key kind of almost gave me a jump scare. I don't know what that was, but it's like somebody fell or banged into a wall or something like that. County Canterbury, landfall should be anywhere between, I want to say 9 to 11 p.m. Given we are still about 100 miles offshore, I'm going to estimate it is going to be closer to 10, if not 11 o'clock. 10 to 11 o'clock. Natalia, good to see you in the chat. Nice shirt. Winds are picking up in Apopka, Central Florida. No rain so far. Not yet. Not yet. We do have a weak feeder band rolling through there. It was stronger as it came onto the west coast of Florida, but it has since dissipated since the loss of the sun out there has dissipated all the instability and the hotter temps over the land. It looks like we are wobbling. It looks like the storm is wobbling. I'm noticing at the very tail end of the loop, we're having a bit of a right wobble there, guys. Little bit of a right nudge. That's normal. That doesn't mean that it's shifting. Remember, these things do not move in straight lines, but it did wobble. And once again, thankfully, even if it does wobble, East Lake, Bayonet Point, Tampa, St. Pete, and further to the south, we are already on the back side of this system. It's not going to turn around and bring the worst conditions back towards you. So even if it does shake, shimmy, rattle, roll, bring it around town for my SpongeBob fans, it's not going to bring any worse conditions. We're already on the opposite end of this storm, so it'll only continue to improve. But this is totally normal. They're going to wiggle and they're going to wobble. Again, for those of you who are unfamiliar with my random analogies and metaphors, this thing's like a Geiger counter or like those seismometers in the earthquake films that you guys may have seen bouncing up and down like seismic tremors. They don't move just perfectly from point A to point B.
What up, man?
Welcome back, Jonathan. Thanks for joining us again. Let me go ahead and bring this down so you can see the stream. There we go.
What I miss?
Not much. Answering some pretty solid questions from the audience here. We're watching and kind of clenching in our chairs right now, hoping that this system doesn't continue to intensify. We're steadily dropping pressure, but the winds are still steady as of the 8 p.m. advisory at 130 miles an hour.
Yeah, and I think this is a really good example of every storm is different. The pressure with this is just 4 millibars higher than what Ian made landfall as, even though Ian was obviously a little closer to 5. It was just underneath that 5, where we have winds here. Was it still at 130 at last check? Where that came ashore with 155, I believe. So
It did.
bigger storm, wind field is bigger. It takes so you can have a lower pressure with lower wind with a relatively speaking anyway lower wind field. So I just thought that was interesting. Some people are mentioning on here. I'm worried that this will be worse than Ian was from a surge perspective. Probably. I mean, the storm is larger. There's not as the way that the bay is shaped. And again, we're talking about the storm surge. Maybe we get lucky with the whole, it's going over the marshland, and maybe there's not a lot of infrastructure right where it comes ashore. But man, it looks rough. We have some questions about how's it looking in Jacksonville. If you don't mind, David, I'm gonna go to the Future Radar site, to the Future Radar model.
Absolutely.
And
Go
we're
for
gonna
it.
get back at it. That was on our News for Jax YouTube page. We have some guests from Jacksonville from our sister station hopping into the stream tonight, and we're going to do that. If you were unaware, we had that tornado watch recently just extended as well, just hot off the press, till 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay. So that's going to be. I don't know how much you've looked at with the severe weather parameters. They looked like they were pretty high this afternoon. Now, thankfully, they were just quote unquote warnings, and we don't have any ground truth of anything for the warnings that we had along the 95 corridor today. But what do you think? Just kind of talking out loud with David here, because I haven't had a chance to talk to him for 3 hours since you popped on. We've been in two different.
Time is flying. Honestly, wow. It's
crazy. I know. Our boss came over and she asked. He was like, "Hey, did you tell David what the plan was?" And I was like, "Actually, no." So like, let me text him now. It just kind of happened so fast, and that's how these things go. So kind of wild, kind of crazy there. but I'm going to bring up the future radar. It was interesting because, at least from what I have seen, the tornado parameters, at least for the greater Central Florida area, were pretty low overnight. And I mean, there's 11 o'clock. I mean, I guess you can still pop here, but we're changing the wind direction around a little bit. Maybe these little guys look a little concerning. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very possible. I really do think as we get on the backside of the system and the dynamics change, we are going to lose those tornado capabilities. I think we've probably peaked at this point, and perhaps the upper northeast coast, closer to Daytona Beach, Palm Coast, Jacksonville, St. Augustine, with those wraparound showers, they could get a little bit of onshore enhancement. But I think as we get into especially dawn tomorrow, daybreak time, that's when that threat's really going to transition to eastern Georgia, eastern South Carolina, as highlighted by SPC.
Yeah, and that threat looks really nasty tomorrow up there.
It
Um,
does.
let's I'll take this out. This is our that in-house model I like to show you guys, and that's I mean it pretty much following exactly what David said. He mentioned about northeast of Daytona Beach. There we go. And then it kind of transitions up, and then you see these big guns up here. These big rotational tracks lifting to the north and east through Georgia, through South Carolina, into North Carolina. I don't know. I'm thinking. I mean, Storm Prediction Center, they obviously are got some smart people there. But I'm just interested. I don't know. I'm just I was surprised that they extended it for that long, and maybe because I have to look at the aerial coverage. It might be because it's connected to southern Georgia, and that might be why. But I was expecting some kind of extension, maybe till like 10 or midnight.
Right, right. Let me see here. So I'm looking at just the SIG torn parameters over on weathermodels.com, and it does look like as we go through the early overnight hours, we're talking between 10 p.m., just shortly after landfall, and we get to the southeast quadrant of the storm. That is when we will continue to see those SIG Tor parameters right through the heart of central and northern Florida approaching Jacksonville, and then we'll really calm down just in time for sunrise tomorrow. Everything should start to really relax for a lot of our viewing area almost entirely.
So it looks like we'll have another shot in the morning. You say?
For any isolated tornadoes, it's probably going to be at landfall to maybe 2 a.m. would be my rough estimate. Very
Okay.
rough estimate.
Excellent. And that would there's the severe risk for tomorrow to kind of where you are.
Yeah, honestly, actually, wow, look at that. The slight risk does get up to about Norfolk. There's Virginia Beach. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. Maybe I should look at a couple things for up here.
All right, so let's see here. Yeah, Joe. Hey, Joe, you're back. I thought you left. Welcome to see you again. Or good to see you again. Yeah. So that way, if you got some bells and whistles again, that's what they were. That's why you did that. That watch has been extended until 6 o'clock in the morning. Trying to see where my highlight went for the actual storm. So the 8 o'clock advisory. If we took a look at that.
Didn't pull up the actual statistics. No, I know I had the token version pulled up earlier, but then I closed it out.
Gotcha. Okay, so there we go. It looks like
I'm done gatekeeping. Every
I know that dry air is close, but yeah, it shouldn't be. Man, look at that thing.
Yeah,
Like
it doesn't look like there's any dry air in there at all. In
it
fact,
doesn't. So that must just be something weird going on in there. Okay, so the
somebody did
pressure
mention potential
dropping.
attenuation with the radar.
Yeah, that could be it. It looks like now we are at 942 millibars, still holding steady at 130. So we're close to Ian's pressure at landfall. So I mean, a lot of those models that we were looking at during the week did have it getting down into the 930. I mean, there was those crazy runs, what, a couple of days ago at like 18Z that put like 19s on the coast. But yeah, I mean, it's still, I mean, that's another 5 millibars in an hour. So, Sean, to your point, it's still showing signs of rapid intensification. Yeah, I think we've actually blown past the definite. I think we're into the ultra rapid intensification now. That next stage up, we've getting to 130 miles an hour, and those pressure is coming down quick. We'll see. I mean, what it's probably about. I mean, gosh, 2 hours away, 3 hours away from landfall.
Yeah, I would say closer to 2 hours. This thing is moving up there like a rocket ship. It's really booging alooing.
So yeah, that would put it at shortly after 10. I'm going to try to find, now that I have you here to kind of guide us through, I can look at to see if we can get some extra cameras up there. The problem is now that it's nightfall, there's not a lot of light. Most of those cameras are pointed out at the bay. So just to this point, it did reach Cat 5, but it made a landfall as a Cat 4. Not that matters because it was 2 miles an hour beneath Category 5 status. The difference is, though, this is a much bigger storm than what Ian was. So the wind field is spread out, and the pressure is about the same. So it's just as intense as what Ian was, but it takes a lot longer for the wind speeds to come up. Because it's a bigger storm. So the rain bands, I mean, we're not completely done yet with the rain. I mean, you can kind of see there's one over here, but they're falling apart as they move through inland central Florida. They're not holding together, which obviously is great. We had the one come through, we had the law, and that second one we were expecting around like about this time, 6 to 7 o'clock. It was there along I-75. It popped a few tornado warnings in Polk County, on the western side of Polk County, but it never really, thankfully, materialized or held together, I should say, as it pushed through the I-4 corridor. We can take a look at some of those power outages. Let's see. Those are the percentages. Look at the total. So this is where, I mean, there you go with all of the power outages. Hanging towards Pinellas County, 120,000 people without power. And keep in mind that the center was like 115 miles offshore. So maybe a tornado did touch down, or, I mean, we have had 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts, consistently. Yeah. So that is a look at that.
It looks like for folks in Savannah, in Brunswick, not so much Jacksonville, thankfully, Kingsland, Georgia, up towards Beaufort, Hilton Head Island, Waltersboro, South Carolina, right along the immediate coast of southeast South Carolina and the entire eastern coast of Georgia. We've got some special marine warning.
Hi everyone, Mark Barden here at Sandy Hook Promise. On December 14th, 2012, my 7-year-old son Daniel was shot to death in his first grade classroom at Sandy Hook Elementary School. The shooter shot and killed 26 individuals in about 4 minutes using an AR-15 military-style assault rifle. There is no place, there's no need, there's no practical application for a military-style assault rifle in civilized society. Please.
Miles an hour now.
Wow.
So I mean, that's pretty impressive. I'm going to try to add some towns in real time here.
Keep getting jump scared by my neighbors over here. They're slamming doors and throwing each other against the wall for some reason. I don't know what's going on in this building, but
Jeez.
sounds like Helene's up here with all the background noise I've got.
Don't worry, those things you're not the numbers you see popping up are not wind speeds. They start out as temperature. So if you are seeing the things pop up, that's temperature. So I don't want to freak anybody out. That's not what's actually happening. I gotta change it to. I have to change it to wind speed, but whenever I click on it first, I'm just doing this in real time. That's why it is like that. And then we'll peg Tampa there. I'm just gonna change this real quick. If it's gonna work. I think. Okay, so it's not gonna work. We are doing it live. Yeah, we can go look at those in just 1 second. I want to try to see what actually wins we're pegging here real quick. Just because it'll kind of give us an idea of the verification process.